She is our official attorney of the Two Guys Named Chris show, and she's commenting on a couple of cases today. One involves a sitcom celebrity cutting down trees he shouldn't have cut down. But first, the major news story of the day, the Derek Chauvin trial ends and a guilty verdict is returned fairly quickly. Hello, Lisa. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. I hope you guys are.
Doing well, thank you. I should have called you last week on this. When the trial ended, or when they got their closing arguments in, and Derek Chauvin said that he would not be testifying, he would take the fifth if he was put on the stand, I said, and I want to see if you agree with this, most of the times when I watch legal proceedings on television, now this is just movies and TV.
Fictional stuff.
And in the OJ trial, the guy on trial does not take the stand. In this particular case, if I were Chauvin's attorney, I would have said, take the stand. Even though cross-examination will be brutal, you have to show something other than this 9 minutes of tape that people have seen. What I basically said was, there's no way people's opinion of you can be lower. You
got nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose. Take the stand. It can only get better.
You can look like a human being.
Exactly. Make yourself a human being instead of what this monster that we've seen on tape.
Tell them why they're all wrong.
Tell me, Lisa, would you have done it if you were his attorney? Would you put? Yeah.
Criminal defense attorneys it's just hammered into their brains that you do not let your client take the stand, because most of the time more can go wrong. Usually they end up, like you said, on cross-examination. Even more bad facts sometimes come out. They don't do well. They look worse. They get, it's usually a matter of just being worried about that they're going to end up incriminating themselves, making it just far, far worse. So it's just hammered into the brains of defense attorneys. But here you make an interesting point that it wasn't going well for him, and it's right. And so what's he got to lose, right? So, that's an interesting, because intent, if he could have shown that he had no intent to commit an assault, no intent to do harm, intent is a part of at least two of these charges.
Exactly. I would have put him on the stand, and I would have had him say, this is how I was trained. This is why I did this. I certainly never meant to kill the man. I apologize. I can't believe how this turned out. I'm so remorseful. We got none of that. So I thought, he's guilty. We've all seen how guilty he is, and they're going to and the sentencing is going to be the maximum. I think he could have helped himself on sentencing if he would have at least looked remorseful and like a human being, as Biggie said. So I think they made a big mistake here. Now, if you were his defense attorney, would you have done it? Yeah.
I mean, it would have been a really risky move. But, the defense attorney, the big theme was, it's not about this 9 minutes and 29 seconds. It's about the 16 minutes prior to that. But without, like you said, without Chauvin testifying, you can't really lay out what that 16 minutes was about between, the cop and the suspect. You can't really give the full flavor of that. But it's so unheard of to have a defendant testify. I mean, it really is.
Well, I didn't go to law school.
No, you didn't take the LSAT. and frankly, I didn't watch the trial day to day, hour to hour, but I thought, I certainly was a little bit surprised at the speed of the verdict.
Were you?
And I thought that at least one juror might have been swayed by the drugs in the man's system, in Mr. Floyd's system, and his actions before he was on the ground. At least one.
Well, yes, it's a possibility. I felt
and
like
that's all it would take.
I felt like this trial was over before it started because of the piece of tape that's 9 minutes long.
And a knee on the neck for 9 minutes.
For 9 minutes.
And they showed that a lot. And that's the jurors saw that many, many times. But they saw other stuff.
Well, I mean, several things made this different than most police trials. And one is the amount of video. There was a ton, not just one video, but lots of videos, lots of still photos, because this happened in a busy area, lots of bystanders. There was tons of testimony from these bystanders, and it was powerful, that they were saying, you're killing him, please stop, I mean, all kinds of really, really powerful testimony. And then what really put this case over the top in terms of it having a different outcome is so much testimony from the top brass, the top most experienced law enforcement officers in this very same department saying this was a departure from protocol and training and guidelines. And I mean, that was a nail in the coffin, really, because that's pretty unheard of. Usually,
yes,
the prosecution has to bring in police experts. They didn't need to do that here because his own department was saying from top down saying, no, you don't do it this way.
And that's another reason. If I'm a juror, I would want to hear him say, if that's not been your training, then why did you do this? Even if I just heard him say on the stand, I got caught up. He had eluded me for 15 minutes before that. I was angry. I let it get the best of me. I just would have had more sympathy for him. There's no sympathy for that man right now. No. And that's why I think they'll throw the book at him on sentencing as well. That's why I didn't go to law school.
Judge Cahill has already said that 30 years is the median sentence for these crimes, but he's already identified that he's going to consider aggravating factors like it was witnessed by a child and things like that to add more time. So he's definitely going to give him the most he can.
Exactly. So I didn't go to law school.
Yeah, it's true.
He watches a lot of TV.
I've seen Law and Order a million times.
Law and Order.
That's right.
Over and over.
That's right. And that's why I believe if I had been Chauvin's attorney, I would have said, get up on that stand and look better than you look on that tape.
They're going for a mistrial. Clearly incompetent attorney.
Prosecution would have eaten him up.
I don't want to go up there.
Get up there.
Get up there.
Get up there.
I don't think it's a good idea.
You get up there and let me question you on this thing. Okay, so the sentencing, we believe, will be at about 8 weeks, and I'm sure we'll talk to you more about this case.
And there's 3 counts, right, that he was charged on? So
Right.
they're consecutive, so once one's over, the next one starts in, right?
That's usually, the judge often has some discretion in that, but I'm feeling like it's going to be consecutive in this case because the judge is just, like you said, the judge does not feel sympathetic toward Chauvin at all. And, maybe Chauvin will get a chance to. Oftentimes the defendant gets a chance to make a statement to the judge at the sentencing hearing as a part of that process. And at that point, perhaps he could show some remorse. But, they're planning their appeal, and all these trials have some grounds for appeal. The biggest here is the massive publicity, and Judge Cahill over and over denied the defense request to sequester or to move to a different venue. And then there were some things in the closing argument. The prosecutor made some very belittling remarks about the defense theory, saying that they were lies and telling stories, not lies. He said, you're telling stories and shading the truth, which implies that they're lies. They're not allowed to do that. So some things like that will give him a little, grounds for appeal.
Well, can you explain, Lisa, the 3 different convictions, the 3 different charges?
Yeah, so the interesting thing in Minnesota, the second-degree felony murder, which is a very serious crime, it's very unique. I think they are the only state that allows an assault to rise to the level of a felony murder charge. So that's a very unique charge. So it's almost like a strict liability. You don't have to have any kind of intent to commit murder. All you have to do is this lethal assault. And even if you didn't intend to commit murder, so normally it doesn't rise to that level of second-degree murder. Normally, where you are doing something and even if it's an assault where you didn't intend to commit murder, it's usually a lesser charge. It's usually something like a manslaughter or a third degree. But here, they have this unique charge that they were able to get him on, which is much more serious. The other thing, the third degree is actually very much in dispute right now in Minnesota. There was actually an appellate court ruling that came down during the trial that caused the judge to make a different ruling on how that charge would be read, because the way the statute was written for that third degree, it actually applies to situations where someone puts multiple people in harm's way, not just one person. And so that's going to be a controversial, and that's actually one of the grounds for appeal.
Okay. So
an interesting set of laws.
Yeah, that does sound odd. But his appeals will lose. I guess they will appeal, but I think that'll lose as well. I think he's going to wind up being in prison for a long time.
My other question for Lisa, too, is of course, the evidence is out there. Everybody saw it. I don't care where you live in the country. You saw it. But what if everything happened the way that it happened in this incident, but there was no video? What do you think the outcome would have been?
Yeah, it would have been possibly different. That is a powerful factor, the video. You would still have had all these officers, I think, testifying that it was a deviation from protocol and these eyewitnesses that were powerful. But without the video really does bring it home. You're absolutely making a great point there. And even some cases have just had maybe the officer's body cam video, which is maybe, is not as powerful as all of these. They have so many photos and so many videos. So it does make a huge difference.
And Derek Chauvin, when he sits there doing that for 9 minutes, being videoed. I just don't understand it. I mean,
What's he waiting on?
Can't even wrap my mind. It's like, take your knee off the man's neck.
It looks like somebody who just snapped.
What is
It really
wrong with
does.
it? In slow
But he's
motion, but
and
like
when
in
he's
slow motion.
staring at the camera
Yeah,
too.
but it's
You're
not like he snapped and swung a baseball bat. It's
yeah.
like he's in slow motion for 9 minutes doing this. And I always just think, what are you doing? What are you doing? I can't even wrap my
I'm being
head
told
around
by bystanders,
it. Of course,
you're killing him.
And the guy's saying, I can't breathe. And then he's not been trained that way. All of those things. That's why I would have put him on the stand if I had been sorry.
You should have gone to law school.
Maybe there's a reason they didn't put him on the stand.
Well,
maybe they
maybe.
contemplated that, and maybe he really is, not capable of being rehabilitated in terms of his personality or his demeanor. But I'll tell you, I do think one of the themes that I thought was good and powerful and should be kind of a way we think about these cases going forward, the prosecution made it very clear that they were not saying all cops are bad. They were saying this cop deviated from training and protocol. And I think that's important because I think I have a lot of police officer friends, and a lot of them are, feel like people are just, when this kind of thing happens, that they just think, let's throw them all out. They're all terrible.
Yeah.
And I think that the prosecution here made a very good point. Let's do the right thing when we have a bad cop do something wrong, but let's don't make it all an argument. Let's be careful not to make an argument that all cops are bad.
Well said. I hope that comes through from this trial. That is how it should be.
I just had this vision in my mind of an alternate universe where Chris Kelly did go to law school, did take the LSAT, and we see you on TV, every 30 minutes or so during the Wheel of Fortune saying, do you need a mistrial? I'm your guy. 555 incompetent.
Hire a lightweight.
Guaranteed mistrial. I'm your guy.
Lisa's slogan is hire a heavyweight. Mine would be hire a lightweight. Hire someone from the
Bantamweight.
I'm the guy. Hire a flyweight.
Hire a featherweight.
Here I am. There's one more legal story. I thought while we have you on the show today, let's ask you about this. This has nothing to do with the Chauvin case, but a pretty big celebrity here, Michael Richards, who was on Seinfeld, played Kramer. He and his wife, at least according to their neighbor, the neighbor's name is Maxine Adams. She's suing Michael Richards and his wife, Beth Skip, claiming they went over to her property in Pacific Palisades, California, April 2nd, and maliciously cut down mature Brazilian pepper trees and underbrush on her property because they wanted a better view of the ocean. It's near the Pacific Ocean, of course. And she says they had no business chopping down two 18-foot trees to improve their ocean views. And the trees are more than 30 years old and provided them shade and privacy.
And comfort.
And comfort.
And peppers.
And she's very, very upset. You tell me, Lisa, does Michael Richards have any defense if indeed they are on her property? I would say no.
Yeah, no, I think he's going to have to pay big time for this because apparently this is a big thing in California. They have really super specific laws detailing the damages in cases like this. They can get diminution of the property value, the cost of replacing the trees. California law, even, which is very unusual, allows personal value and aesthetic pleasure in the trees. Like if the person testifies, my grandchildren have swings on that tree and I've watched them, with great joy over the years, blah, blah, blah. All that kind of stuff can go into it. And then if they can show that this was an intentional, which it seems it was, they didn't, it wasn't like they spilled a chemical on their property that eked over. This was, if it's an intentional act, then they get 3 times all of those damages, called treble damages.
But whoop-de-doo.
So you have to pay a lot of money for this.
Whoop-de-doo.
Well, Michael Richards has got the money. He paid it,
you're
and guess
right.
what?
The
He
trees
still got his
trees
view.
are gone. He got his ocean view.
He's got what he
got
wanted.
his view. He
that's
got
a
his
good
view.
point.
Maybe this was calculated.
That's a great
But she can replant the trees now that he's...
It takes him 20 years to grow.
Well, you
You think you can...
with the treble damage, she can buy a full-grown tree.
And
Yeah,
plant
if
them
you,
in
if you
there.
can do that.
Well, he got you on that one, Dave. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
You know what I'm thinking?
Yeah.
Look, I know Michael Richards, of all the Seinfeld principals, has had a
He's done the worst.
He's had the worst track record since.
Yeah, right, yeah.
But you think with his money, he'd still be beachfront?
Wouldn't you think he'd be oceanfront?
Why is he back row? Why is he?
Was he one row back?
He's beach road.
I mean, Lisa, you're second row, but you got good views.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all about the balconies.
Come on now.
You got to go
You
higher.
didn't have to build like a crow's nest or anything. See that darn
She's on
thing.
the bypass. I mean, Richards is on the bypass.
Back at the bridge. What is going on here? It's a good point. It's a very good
He
point.
could, but I mean, for a little while, he's got a view.
Yeah, he does, for right now at least. Lisa Lanier, thank you as always for shedding light on these cases, especially the Chauvin one, which of course is major headlines today. And we'll talk to you again on Friday for Lawyer Up.
All right. Have a great day.
You too. There she goes, our official
Bye.
attorney of this program. You know what happened to me yesterday? Biggie and I were at this event, which we've talked about a couple of times. Ricky up in sales.
Mm-hmm.
I had heard that the verdict was going to be happening in the next hour. I had read that before.
Yeah, it happened rapidly.
Yeah, very quick. And
To me.
Yeah, me too. And when I heard it was going to be that quickly, I thought it's guilty for sure. Because usually when they come back quickly, they say guilty. In the OJ trial, it came back quickly. Everybody thought it would be guilty, and it was not. So it flipped around. But Ricky came out there, and he goes, and he's a jokester. He's a prankster. And he came up to me. He goes, Did you hear the verdict? And I said, no. And he said, not guilty on all counts. And I turned to Biggie, and I said, we need to get home. We need to.
I've got to protect my family.
With my loved ones.
I got to defend my property.
I said, all hell is about to break loose. I said to Biggie, I grabbed him by the chest, and I said, they have found this man not guilty. We have got to go. And Biggie said, we're only 30 minutes in. We got another hour and a half to go. And I said, you don't understand.
I'm leaving.
We've got to get.
Leave the tent. Leave the table.
I'm streaming to my car, and Ricky goes, man, I'm messing with you. They haven't come back with the verdict. And I came back to him. I was like, this is not. You don't joke about something.
This is not funny.
There's a lot of interesting events. At the event yesterday also, and this was 420 day, another sales lady we have out there, Heidi, very nice lady, she goes, did you hear this? I just won an amazing art piece. It's a glass sculpture that you will not believe. It's like 150 from the place. There's a raffle. We're at down 420 Lane.
You want a what? A glass sculpture?
A glass sculpture. Well, they brought it out. She's I'm going to take a picture of this glass sculpture right now. So they brought it out across the parking lot. And I looked at it. I was like, well, that's a bomb.
Sweetie. What the frick?
Do you remember that? That's what Biggie started doing. Biggie started going, what the frick?
It's supposed to be an Xbox card.
You see this hole down here? That's where you put your thumb.
They were bringing it across the parking lot. Look at this
Look at
intricate
this. We
glass.
should wrap this in bubble wrap. This is
Heidi,
beautiful.
no.
I think it's from Sri Lanka.
They were posing with it. And she goes, I don't know where I'm going to put this in the house. It's so beautiful.
Under the bed.
Well, you could put flowers in it.
Do you have a drop ceiling? Maybe a drop ceiling.
Oh, look, this part comes out.
Down behind the pots and pans.
Is there a shed?
Yeah, she kept saying that. She's like, she told me that 2 or 3 times. She's like, I just won a piece of art. It's a glass sculpture. You would not believe it's like $150.
You call it whatever you want.
And I was like, oh, that's great.
Pig's pig.
Well, they brought it out. It's like, oh, my, Heidi, no, why are you doing it?
Was it a floor model? Because they make floor models.
Well, I'll tell you this. It was beautiful. It was absolutely, I mean,
yeah, they are.
the blown glass.
Was it clear glass or colored?
Clear with clear glass, but then colored like accents on it.
Sounds
Is it a
delightful.
fountain? Can you put water in it?
Yeah, oh yeah, you can do all that.
Well, it's
And
cooling.
She said, do you want your picture made with this? I said, no.
No.
I don't believe I do.
No evidence.
No, that'll come back.
This was Biggie was talking about what the frick. It's about that kid. He was like 16 and he ordered a bong through the mail. If you haven't heard this, classic.
I guess he couldn't intercept the package before his mom got it.
Mom got it
first.
And his 18-year-old brother is recording and cannot stop. Finally, he has to stop the recording because the kid keeps saying, "What the frick?"
I have no idea what this is.
Is this something for...
I have no idea.
Well, then give it to me. Let me see what it is.
I'm trying to see what it is. It looks just like a big metal, like plastic vase. It has like a glass bottom. I think it's like a vase.
Well, open it then.
I'm opening it. Chill.
It's a vase. Chill.
It's made of metal
It
glass.
just looks like a vase for like a bunch of like things.
It's a bomb.
What the frick?
It's a bomb.
What the heck? I didn't order that. Ordered an Xbox card. Xbox remote.
This is a bomb.
Oh wow. I did not order that.
Do not take a picture.
What the frick?